All right, we'll get started. Welcome everyone for the second in our series of command workshops. There was 2 handouts in the back. I don't know if everyone got them. There's the 7 steps to launch your neighborhood lead gen, and then I had a handout for the tech-enabled agent. There's more in the back if you need. We're going to go through them, and we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about some of the hyper-local and neighborhood type things. You guys want me to flip on one more light, or are you good? You good like that? Okay. All right. Well, we will get started. I added this. Most of you know me, but this is being broadcast via webinar, and it's going up on KW Connect, so I'm starting to have other people from around the country reach out to me like, hey, I like your class. That's great, and I want credit for it. So I'm putting myself in my class. If you don't know me, I'm Marty Richter, the Director of Technology here. And with that, first thing I want to talk a little bit about is the path of the tech-enabled agent, which is the single sheet that I gave you. This is the new curriculum that KW is building their technology training around. It's this path of the tech-enabled agent. And there's 4 tiers there, and those tiers are layered over AI, which is the artificial intelligence, and the big data, which is all of the data they've been collecting since the inception of KW in '83, and over some team management tools there. So those four tiers, the first one is create. That's build your database and develop your relationships. Then build your real estate communities with your hub, referral network, topical masterminds, and your team. And then building a compelling customer experience on your consumer app. So a lot of the stuff that we've been focusing on right now is that first tier, create. Because the first thing you need to do is you need to have a database. Then we need to get your database into command. And then we can start adding in or layering on some of those neighborhood and hyper-local type things. And from there, it goes into the customizing where you can build pieces out to more to match your marketing, to your style, to your look or your brand. And then it gets into the cultivating and the capitalizing. The cultivating is when you start to get the automated drip campaigns in place, the automated monthly neighborhood nurture, which we'll talk about that, and then capitalizing on everything that you've got set up. So that's the path of the tech-enabled agent. KW is launching, let me switch screens here. Starting today, actually, they're launching some of that curriculum. And it's going to be an online, you can tune in from wherever you are. If you go to kwconnect.com, and you don't have to do it right now, I'm just going to show you. They've added a technology tab at the top here. And under the technology tab, I swear every week they're adding something new underneath there. The first one, though, is the tech-enabled agent. If you click on that, you can find this same chart with a little bit about it. Get to know the products of Keller Cloud. And Keller Cloud is what all of these tools are encompassed in. And then down below there, you'll see Tier 1, Create. And they have live stream training. First one is actually at 1 p.m. today. And they're going to do an overview and setup of Command and Kelly. Very similar to what we did here last week. And that was recorded. So if you missed it last week, or if you just want to go back and review it, if you go to kwconnect.com and you search for me, so Marty Richter, you will see the content that I've uploaded. But you can click on my name and you can see my profile where you can click on uploads and you can find all of the files that I've uploaded. And I'm going to continue to add all of the supporting links as well as the recordings and the presentations from these command workshops. So you can see right there is the recording of it, the links for Pixlr and Photo to crop and resize your photos. And down below here is that document that we had last time in the handout, the 9 steps to transition your business to command. Oh, great. So those classes are also on our calendar, I was just informed. So there's lots of classes there to leverage. Again, you can tune into those from wherever. So let me just go back here. Oop, too many. You can see they actually they're going to talk about the 9 steps to transition your business later today. They've got a couple tomorrow. They're going to hit it hard. They're going to have lots and lots of these available. These recordings will be placed on KW Connect as well. And then just real quick, the important dates to remember, we do have 2 more weeks left in this command workshop. And then on the 20th, we have Zach Younger coming in to teach I forget if it's a 3 or a 4 hour workshop. You can find those links on the Facebook group. We sent out an email on him. So he's going to come in. He's just going to offer a different perspective, and he's been one of the primary drivers in this. He actually wrote the Tech Roadshow curriculum. So if you want to take in more command, that's a great way to do so. And then we'll have a Tech Roadshow coming up here at the end of the month. And next week's class will be optimizing opportunities. So we'll talk about managing your deals and your transactions within command. So again, if you don't remember where to go to log in, it's agent.kw.com, and you'll be presented with a MyKW username and password prompt. It's just going to be the same username and password you use for MyKW, for Connect, for Kelly, for all of those things. So the 7 steps to launch your neighborhood lead generation in command. You can see they've got their little graphic here from Kelly to contacts and neighborhoods, prepare, customize, associate, and launch. So we're going to go through those, and I'm just going to tell you right now, there's a couple of steps in here, or pieces to the steps, we can't complete today because they do have a little glitch going on in one of the screens with Google Maps. But we can do all the other stuff, and as soon as they get that fixed, I can let you guys know, and we can get that stuff set up too. So to start it off, adding contacts to Kelly. How many of you here have added a contact via Kelly so far? How many of you tried it out? Maybe about half or so. Okay, it's pretty simple. What I didn't realize, I've always done it as add so-and-so to my database. But what I didn't realize until I looked at this packet is that you can just open Kelly, and if you have an iPhone, you can just say, hey, Kelly. If you have an Android, you have to tap the microphone. You just say add a contact, and it's going to prompt you to put in their name, and you can start to put in their information, phone, email, any contact information you want to put in there. And that saves in real time. So that saves right in your command database. Real quick and easy way to add somebody on the go. You're in line at the grocery store, you end up having a conversation with somebody, you get to talk in real estate, you had your name badge on, and they say, how's the market? Then afterwards, you can add them just quick and easy before they're even to their car. Where this is eventually headed is that you could then have them on a monthly neighborhood nurture if you would have got their address right there, and they could have neighborhood information before they get home. Talk about an easy way to set up follow-ups with people, or to set up that initial communication. If you haven't done this, I would encourage you to do so, but it's always important to check for an update to Kelly if you haven't done so in a while. They do make changes pretty rapidly. They have 2 full-time teams that are just working pretty much around the clock on Kelly. So we're not going to go through this one right now, but that's how you do it. You just open it and say, hey, hey Kelly, or tap the microphone and say, add a contact and fill out their information. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that would be if you're going to add a new contact. But how about moving all of your database over from 33 Touch into here? Do you do them one at a time? Do you have your screen up for 33 Touch? You speak each person?
Yeah, that get pretty tedious to add individual contacts if you're moving your database. That's in there. You can either export it from your current database and then you can import it in, or there is an eEdge connection, which is they're fixing right now. The easiest way is to export it from your current database, especially the eEdge system, and then it can be imported. And that's something I can help with. They've got some tutorial videos online, but that's kind of more of a...
That's with an Excel sheet.
Yep, it exports them as an Excel sheet, exactly. Yep. So that's a lot quicker process. However, it's not really a race to get everyone in. Yes, you want to get your contacts in here. You want to get them set up on these emails, but it's not contacts for contact's sake. It's contacts for contract's sake. This is a great time to touch your database. By you, now if you have 1,000 people, you're not going to want to manually enter them one by one. But if you've got 100 people, that's a great way to familiarize yourself with command. Just get in the habit of doing it. You could attack a letter of the alphabet a day or something like that to move them over. And that's a great reason to reach out to them, get their information. Hey, whatever your reason might be, it could just be I'm going through my database because I want to update and realize I don't have your address because I'm preparing to send out some neighborhood information. Would it be all right if I got your address? It doesn't have to be a fancy script. Some people like to do the Christmas card thing, but that's a little ways out right now. If you have a client event coming up, that's a great reason to touch them, get their address or their contact information, and that's all going to help for some of these steps that we're going to get into. Once you have contacts in your database, one of the most exciting features right now for a lot of agents is adding neighborhoods to those contacts. So once you get them set up, you can go into the contact card and you can actually associate them with a neighborhood or neighborhoods. And if you go to, here's the 3rd page of the 7 steps handout, it walks through, and these are basically screenshots of that. It's very simple that when you log into Command, then you go to your contacts, and you could either add a contact with put in an address, or if you've got one in there already, you can then add a neighborhood. So I'm going to switch over to my Command, and if you guys have your computers and you want to too, go right ahead. Let's see, right there. So I went to agent.kw.com. Let me go log in. And then I'm going to see that placeholder dashboard that we talked about last week. So I can go in the left column to contacts, or I can click the contacts card. So if you don't have a contact with an address, if you've got one in your phone that you can put in, do it right now. Put in their name, put in their address by clicking the Add Contact button in the top right corner. Go ahead and name. If you have their email or phone, you can enter those. And when you scroll down a little bit, you will see their address where you can select if it's their work, home, or other. And once you get that in, go to the bottom and hit Create. So if you don't do that right now, because then we want to go and we want to open up that contact. So I added Donald Duck here before we started. And I just picked an address. So I added Donald Duck and added an address. Because then in Donald Duck's contact card here, when I scroll down, just below their address, I have the option to add a neighborhood. So when I click Add Neighborhood and then I click View Map, it will do its best to search that address and pull it up right on the map. And right now it doesn't look like much, but if I zoom in, I can see the pinpoint is actually right on that house. And I just click on that neighborhood and that will add that. And if I wanted to add the next door one or a few different ones, I could do that. And when I'm done, I'm going to click Save. So now in their contact card, that added Fish Lake Woods / Dallas Lane, Maple Grove, and that added Fish Lake Woods, Maple Grove. Now those are 2 neighborhoods that were established in Nextdoor. And by me adding them to this contact, I can now click the Get Neighborhood Snap URL down below. And then it's going to present me with a big long link. And it's not the prettiest looking link right now, but they're working on cleaning those up. Yeah.
So when you click on that map, you just set it to the neighborhood that's been set up next door. There are a lot of them that aren't. I'm seeing, so can I just select the city?
Right now, that is set up. So the question was, can I just select a city if there's not a neighborhood? Right now, it's set up for neighborhoods. There are more features coming. Very soon, you're going to be able to draw out and define your own neighborhoods. That's going to be really helpful for the areas where either A, there isn't a neighborhood in Nextdoor, or B, they set it up totally wrong. Because if you ever looked at Elk River, whoever set that up, they butchered it. I mean, like, Elk River is split with 169, and I don't know anybody on the other side. And yeah. So there are a lot of them that are inaccurate, and that's because Nextdoor allowed the users to set them up, and not all users knew what they were doing. Some of them also named them funny things. There's one in Champlin where whoever set it up named the neighborhood like the River Rats. And I'm sure the people that live there really appreciate that. And that's so yeah, it's kind of interesting. So very soon you'll be able to define your own neighborhoods. So if you come to a contact right now and there's not a neighborhood there, just sit tight on that one. They're very close on launching that feature. So if I click copy URL, I'm going to go and I'm going to open a new tab to show you guys what that looks like. Paste it and enter. So this is the neighborhood snap that it made in literally 5 seconds once I had their address in there. So that loaded up a neighborhood, branded to me. And up right below the name of it there, it says Fish Lake Woods, and then I can click to the other one. So right in there, they can see a map of their neighborhood, and they can scroll down and see the stats. So that one's a little boring, 1 active listing. Let's look at the other one, 0. Okay, so I picked 2 that are very active right now. Normally, it would even show you some sold stats, but maybe there's just not a high turnover in that neighborhood. But then as I go down, it would give me the homes for sale in that neighborhood. Again, this one only has 1. If this had 4 or 5, it would show them. If it was more, it would give you a view more. Yeah, question?
Can you do more than one contract at a time if you know that you got like 10 people that live in that same neighborhood?
As of right now, I think it's just 1 at a time. They're adding various bulk features, so you'd be able to assign some of these things to multiple people at a time. So as of right now, it's one at a time.
When you search, can you filter by neighborhood if you want to send something out to? Neighborhood? Like she said, if you know multiple people in the area.
I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure if you can select a search and filter by the neighborhood or not. I'd have to try that out. They change features so rapidly that
You create a tag.
you can create a tag for a neighborhood.
Create a tag for a neighborhood. You got 10, 20, whatever.
It's a good idea. Create a tag for the
Create a tag
neighborhood.
and filter it out that way.
Yeah.
Then you can do a bulk. But the idea, I think, here is that you're setting up a one-to-one.
Yeah, this would be for like a one-off contact. This would be the kind of thing that as soon as you get a new contact, you could put them on there. Somebody comes into an open house, you get their contact information. This would be an easy way to set that up one. I know there's a lot of bulk features they're working on, so that's a good question though. We one back there first. Sure. To get that link again in your contact, you go and you click the Add Neighborhood button.
Under
So I'm in a contact right now, so I search for my contact Donald Duck here. You have to have an address for him or it's not going to work. And when you scroll down, there should be an Add Neighborhood button down about 3/4 of the way. If you click View Map, it should pull them up on the address or pull up their map by their address. And once you select the neighborhood, you have to actually click on the neighborhood. It'll add them here, and then they should have a Get Neighborhood URL down below. Okay, so refreshing the screen brought that back. Okay. So in here, they've added 2 more features since last week when I showed this. They now added a search, or they can go in and browse through homes in that neighborhood, and they can expand beyond that neighborhood as well. There's a lead capture down below, and then your branding and your information, which you've hopefully filled out in your marketing profile from last week. Yeah, question.
I don't know if that's a benefit or not, because I'm thinking that if they're buying a house, chances are they're not buying a house in their neighborhood where they live.
Well, and this is just one landing page, so they don't have to search in there. They can scroll around. Right now, if I scroll, they literally just launched this feature. So if I scroll around, it's not refreshing immediately to show me homes in another area, but this will give them the ability to search the whole MLS at some point.
This is great for sending people a quarterly email on recent activity in their neighborhood so they can kind of know what's happening. It's a way for you to stay in touch. And especially if you have a farm area, to nurture that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the comment was that it's great for your farm area, great for a quarterly touch and things like that to keep in touch with your existing clients. So I'm repeating a lot of this because we're recording this also. So if you guys are like, yeah, he just said that, that's why.
This isn't supposed to be a search feature for people who are actively looking to buy homes. For people who you are working on a listing that you're developing so they know what's going on. And it gives you an excuse when you're calling them to say, hey, would it be of value for you to get a quarterly email that kind of tells you about the recent activity in your neighborhood? 99% of people are going to say yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's lead capture in case because you could send this to somebody or you could post this out there and maybe you don't have their contact information yet. And then the other piece or tab that they're building on here is the Meet the Team tab. So right now it's just got one, but you may experience some glitches with the Meet the Team page right now. So they're building that out, launching these features. They're ahead of schedule on a lot of stuff. And they've started doing latest in labs on a more regular basis. So you're going to see lots of live streams where they'll give you updates. Literally weekly, we can find out the updates to what they've added.
Hey, Marty,
Yeah.
Can you show us how, again, I might have missed it, how you send the landing page out? If you haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways on how the landing page can be sent out. One of the features is we're stuck right now because we're waiting for them to fix a Google Map integration. You could just as simple as copy that link and send it to somebody, but it's kind of an ugly looking link. But you could certainly send it to some of your core clients, your family, your friends, and say, hey, what do you think about this? This is a new tool we're building, and just get their feedback on it, but you're just kind of exposing people to it. The people that have done that have heard really good feedback. They thought, well, this is really interesting. I haven't seen something like, exactly like this before. There is a share feature right on this page, though, too, if you wanted to. where you could fill out their info and send it. That's probably the cleanest way to send it right now. So when you open that link and view it yourself, and they'll have this ability too. So if they like the info, they could then share it to their sphere.
So if you start typing in that person in your contacts, will it start to auto-populate or no?
Not on this one, because this is really primarily meant for them, for the client to share it with their sphere. So this won't pull up your contacts on here, on this screen. Yeah.
So when I'm in this neighborhood map, you know, all the cities around us have neighborhoods, but
Yep.
our city doesn't. Should we let somebody for our this particular city in God's country doesn't show?
So if the neighborhood, if the neighborhood doesn't exist right now, the only way for it to be created in Nextdoor is it has to be created by somebody that lives in that neighborhood and they're on Nextdoor. And Nextdoor is a free platform for them to sign up for.
So you have to be the paying agent for.
Nope. You just have to be somebody that lives there. So is there no neighborhood set up there? So yeah, the only way to actually establish the neighborhood on Nextdoor is by somebody that lives in that neighborhood has to do it.
I needed to zoom in more. Sorry.
Okay, so zooming in more, Isam, got it. So that's how you can go through and you can add neighborhoods to your contacts. And this is setting it up so that you will be able to send them monthly emails, quarterly emails, things like that on an automated nature. Yes, question. It won't let you. It won't let you add the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Does the neighborhood exist? Does it show up? It just won't let you select it.
I put the address in, it shows up a little house, but it doesn't show.
Okay, we can look at that after. If the neighborhood doesn't exist, that might be a problem. Otherwise, we may have to clear your history. That takes care of a lot of random goofy issues that you encounter within Command. So moving on to the next page in here, just to kind of keep the flow going, is the identifying your neighborhoods. So in the identifying your neighborhoods, this is where you can start to get the landing pages for those neighborhoods set up to send them out. This is probably going to be the main way that people are going to send them out once they've established them. And this is the one that I was talking about where we can only do the first two steps right now. If you haven't made a MailChimp account, I would highly encourage you to go to MailChimp.com and sign up for the free account with whatever email address you're using for your real estate business. Then in the settings within Command, you can connect that account. And you're only going to need to pay for one if you have enough contacts. I think it's like 2,500 contacts or something like that before you have to move to a paying account with MailChimp. And it's a pretty nominal charge. It's like $15 a month, I think. And if you have more contacts, 4,000 or 5,000, then you may have to move to the next bracket. But it's a pretty nominal charge for how many people you can get. Yes?
As a team, you need different MailChimp accounts or can we have one?
If you're wanting the emails to come out from you and your team member, you would need it for each of you as of right now. If you're wanting them to come out branded as the team could have one and share it. But then it would be the team's branding and not the individual agent's branding. So that would be a conversation with your team and your Rainmaker to figure out how you guys want to establish that. The full team functionality is just not quite here yet in Command, but they are moving pretty rapidly, and we're starting to see some people that are seeing some team features and mentions pop up in there. I was talking to somebody earlier this morning, and they had the ability over the weekend to assign a contact to a team member, and that wasn't there when they went to show me. But it's coming very soon. They're plugging away on that. They just have to get a few more things solidified before they can launch that. The full functionality is probably a couple months, but we're going to see some features start to trickle in for that. So if you make a free MailChimp account and then you connect it in here, the next step would be to set up your neighborhoods. And I'll show you what that looks like. But again, you won't be able to actually complete the step today. I was really hoping they'd have it done before today. So in your Command, in the top right corner, you can get in and you can access the settings. And under the first tab, Applications, is where you would go to connect your MailChimp account. I scroll down here. Yours would say connect account right here, and you click it, and it'll walk you through signing in with that email to connect it. And then down a little further, they have the My Neighborhoods feature. And it'll let us go through and select neighborhoods, but they have a Google Map issue they're working on resolving right now. So you can attempt to zoom out from Austin and scroll all the way to Minnesota. It does take a while, and I actually got lost somewhere because you can only zoom out so far, and I don't know where I ended up, but it's not worth the time right now, so let's just wait for that to get fixed. But the idea is you'd be able to select a neighborhood and then go through and connect it to a landing page so that everyone with that address would get that landing page. That's going to be very similar to the question that you had asked, Sue, where you said, could you bulk add people? You'll be able to do kind of sort of that in here where it'll look at their address and be able to establish landing pages for their cities. It's not exactly like that, but it'll have a lot of the same functionality. So as soon as I see that this is active, I will let you guys know so you can proceed to get those steps. I just left it in this packet because I wanted to at least show it to you. The other thing I want to introduce a little bit is Sketchhouse. So on the next sheet, it's prepare your market neighborhood snapshot. And these steps allow you to go through and customize what that snapshot looks like. So if you've got your computer in Command, go on that left column and go down about 3/4 of the way and click on Sketchhouse. Now, there's a lot of features in Sketchhouse that will be massively upgraded in about a week, maybe 2. But this feature we can do right now. If you go in the top right corner, it'll allow you to create a custom template. And it'll give you 3 options in here. You can do a web one, an email one. But what we're looking for right now is the market neighborhood snapshot. So in Command, click on Sketchhouse. And then in the top right, create custom template. And go to your market neighborhood snapshot. I'll click create. And now you'll see what that snapshot default will look like. And this was the same kind of snapshot that I showed to you before. It's just the neighborhood only had 1. So you could assign 4, 5, 6, however many you want, neighborhoods to a client. It's going to have the stats there. And here's a better demo than before. I would show you the active and the recent sales, lead capture, and then your info. So you have the ability to customize the color right now for red, blue, or dark. So you can go and you can set it to whichever one you prefer, and that's going to set your default for all of these snapshot links for all of your clients, basically. So you pick whichever color you prefer and just hit save, and it'll allow you to preview the landing page. So I didn't plug in my info, but that's, again, basically what we just saw on the screen. And then if we scroll back up, we can go back here. We can also preview what that email will look like. So it's going to say your monthly neighborhood trends, giving them a little bit about each neighborhood that you've subscribed them to, and then have links to download your app with your branding down below. So those are the snapshots that you can customize right now. The rest of the features in Sketchhouse are a little bit clunky to work with. Again, there's a huge update coming though, and that'll unlock more features that'll make it like Canva. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, question.
Are these not quite ready for us to send out yet? I mean, I know we can play around with it, but it's like start sending out, or they're not quite ready for.
These neighborhood links, they certainly can be sent to people right now if you want to. Yeah, they just added about 10 days ago, they added the listings in there. Then they added the Meet the Team page in the search. So you certainly could send this out to somebody right now if you wanted. It's just the link is a little long, and they're working on getting those shortened up and cleaned up so they look a little.
But the information is pretty good.
Yeah, and you know, as far as this information, the active stats and the sold stats, they're pretty accurate. They're not perfect, but your clients don't really care. They really don't. I mean, they go to Zillow, don't they? They look at this estimate, don't they? Do they know that this estimate's not accurate? I don't think that's a secret anymore. You know, if you have a Fitbit, how accurately do you think it tracks your steps every single day? Probably not perfect. Like, how is it tracking when I'm up here teaching? Is this counting this as a step every time I move my hand? I don't know. All I really care is, did I hit my 10,000 steps? Did I walk more steps today than I did yesterday? Like, people don't care. It gives them something to compare with, though. That's what they really care about. They did a lot of studies. KW did a lot with their research department. They did a lot of interviewing of agents. They did a lot of interviewing of clients. Josh Team himself was calling clients after they were sending out a lot of these things, saying, hey, what did you think about that? And they just didn't really care that the numbers maybe weren't perfect. Maybe it said there was 9 and there was actually 10. Or maybe the average sold price said 320, but it was actually 319. Like, they knew it was close enough. You know, I get the Zillow email every month of my home value, and I'm like, does it think it's worth more or less this month than last month? So you certainly could send these out right now.
So,
Yep.
I just did what you were doing, then it said preview your.
Yep, preview your landing page.
Some other guy.
Yeah, on the preview page, it still shows the demo person. It's not you. But if you go into your contact, one of your contacts, like I did Donald Duck, and I copied that link, that page actually had my info on it. Yep. And that info, again, pulls from in your settings. 3/4 of the way down in the left column or halfway down is the marketing profile. That's where you'll fill out as much as you can, adding your photo, logo, or team logo, contact info, and a bio, and then an office logo or a DBA logo. And I'll upload that logo to my Connect profile. If you don't have it, I've already got it resized to fit. And then there's 2 links on my profile on Connect where you can use some photo editing tools to resize your photo, because they do have to be a square for them to fit nice in the circle. Otherwise, it's going to like cut the top of your head off. If you want, feel free to play around in Sketchhouse. If you want to just kind of explore and see what it's all about. But just to be completely honest, there's probably better things that you could do with your time right now. Just wait for that new update. Yeah, question in the back.
Is that snapshot thing a repeating thing, or is it just a one-time here? Take a look.
When we went into the contact card, we were just setting that up to link it to that contact. But basically, the snapshot is going to be built out so that it can be an automated email, like a smart plan, they're calling it. So that could replace your monthly newsletter. They could just get an automated monthly market update on their neighborhood. It could include insights. You'll be able to customize some more features within that on what's all included. But it'll give them the sold stats, the active stats, and show them some active listings and some recently sold listings as well. Yeah.
So it was a question of, is it an active, but is it an active link or is it static? Like, is it going to be where if somebody revisits and there's a new closing?
Yes.
Affects the data.
The data will update.
And say, hey, there's whether you set it next month or 3
Yep.
months from now.
Yeah, so the actual link itself will stay the same, but the data on that page will update. So that'll show new listings. They could go back to that. They could open that email a month from now, and it would show new listings, or it would show the ones that sold since the last time they looked. That data will be updating on that page for them. Yeah. Was that your question, or was your question that they could get this on a regular basis?
Both.
Both? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think if you set that up, is it going to send out monthly yet, or do we need to go to another location and have it going out monthly?
That's another location. That's called Smart Plans. We'll touch on Smart Plans in a little bit. There's 301 people that have access to Smart Plans. And I'm going to tell you about that one in a little bit. It's not me. You would know because you would visibly be able to see right now something that would indicate why I would be in there. I'll just leave you with that until I get to it. Yeah. So do you guys have any other questions right now? How many of you have contacts with at least one contact with an address in your database? Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, like 2/3 of the room. How many of you actually tried to add a neighborhood and it worked? Okay, almost all the hands stayed up there. So KW has 3 teams working on the command stuff. They have 2 working on Kelly, but they have 3 working on command literally around the clock. And they're posting updates at like 10 p.m. on Friday night of the things that they changed and fixed. And that's like Josh Teamer in these groups posting, Neil Dolokia, who's one of the main product advisors. Like the top people on these projects are active in there. So you have the ability to reach out directly to these people. However, all new ideas or suggestions, it is recommended to go through ideas.kw.com. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the next page, and that's the Smart Plans feature, actually. And the Smart Plans is, again, that's another one. It's really, really close. They had a little bit of a hiccup, so they tried to push it out at Family Reunion, and they said, no, we're just not quite there. We need to make sure that this is a reliable tool because this is what's going to go out directly to your clients. And this is where you can build up scheduled communication. You can schedule text messages, emails, set reminders, and things like that in there. And let me jump back to my slides. Oops. There it is. Sorry, I didn't keep up with my slides as I was talking there. So the launching your monthly neighborhood nurture smart plan. This adds to the first few steps where we pulled up a contact, we selected one with an address, and then we clicked to get that URL for that client. The next step would be to add them to a smart plan. And this is where I was saying a smart plan can be configured to set up how you want to communicate to your clients. So if I go into mine, I am one of the 300, but I'm not the 301st. So in my smart plans, I have the ability to look at ones that KW has created.
Just like the old campaigns.
It is basically like campaigns, but improved because they can be intelligent. They can do a lot more functionality than a campaign, but it's based off of campaigns. Okay, well, the KW library didn't come up probably because they're still building them, but I can go into smart plans and I have the ability to create a new smart plan. And in here, I could go through and I could create a smart plan that is, they're launching one actually that's a monthly neighborhood nurture. And this is where I would be able to set up, once it loads, however I wanted this communication to look like. So right here it's set as start the flow, which means add them to this. Then they're going to get their neighborhood snapshot email, and then it's going to give me a reminder to call them. Then it's going to take a 30-day delay and then restart. So it's just a simple flow that they get added to the campaign, they get the newsletter, I get reminded to call them, and then it starts over again the next month. So that would be an automated thing. You could just add a contact to it and they would just start getting those. And they're building it so that you can take the KW ones and just copy them into yours, and you'll have the ability to create ones from scratch. So I could go in, set one up, and you'll be able to tell it what do you want to do. So the new action. So this is where they get started. And maybe the first thing I want to have that monthly neighborhood snapshot, or it could be a different email. And then I can go through and set, okay, after I send that, do I want to have a reminder? Do I want another email? I could be able to integrate text in here. And I could have the process split or come together. And I could have it go, if this wasn't the snapshot or the monthly neighborhood nurture, I could set it to set certain steps up, and then after those steps are complete, put them on a different flow of communication. So you'll be able to build this out any way that you want to, or your team wants to, because they'll have team ones as well as individual ones in here. So you can completely customize and tweak the flow for however you want to communicate with your clients or your potential clients. So how do you get early access to smart plans? If you want to wait like everyone, you can, or you can be like number 301, and you could post in a Facebook group saying, hey, Josh team, if you add me to smart plans, I'll get a tattoo of your face on my arm. So here's Grant over the weekend. He got a tattoo of Josh team's face on his forearm after Josh added him to the smart plan lab. So there's a video of him getting the tattoo, like to prove it that it's a real one. So if you want to get into anything early, there's your ticket in.
Why would you wanna?
I don't know. He posted it out there to be funny, but then he said, "Well, I'm gonna stand true to it because Josh added me, and I said I would." Yeah, and on the forearm, like at least do it on the bicep, or a t-shirt could cover it.
Good story.
So I just wanted to add that for a little bit of fun. The other thing that you can do, to start to build up some of these features for you is you can start to add insights in your neighborhood if you haven't already. A restaurant, a park, any places of attraction, a beach, whatever it is around you, you could add those things around your neighborhoods. You can add a photo, you can add a description, because those insights are going to feed into these hyper-local things that you're sending out to clients. These are points of interest that your client could see right when they're exploring a new neighborhood, maybe one they don't live in. A restaurant, something about a particular business that's, the best dish here is this, or the best time to go here is this time. Different insights and information that you can prove that you're the local neighborhood expert.
So you're not only taking photos, you're actually making a comment about
Yep,
it
you
or
can
something?
do a photo and a comment. Yep. So don't add a photo that you find on Google, like take your own photo and then add a little piece of information on there. And we're all going to benefit from these insights. So if I add an insight for a place across the parking lot, and then Katie adds one and Molly adds one, and if I go send something out, like I'll be able to pick and choose to include all of their insights, but it's not going to have their branding. It's just going to look like it's coming from me. Likewise, you could send it out and have it look like it's coming from you. So if I had to go add every insight that went out to my potential clients, like I could spend forever just adding insights. So we'll be able to leverage and benefit from each other's. Yeah, question. Nope, an insight is a feature within a neighborhood. So, if you had one around Maple Grove, you could go add an insight for the Maple Grove Park and, the skating rink that they do there in the winter, whatever they have going on. You could add an insight. Those are within a neighborhood. You guys have any questions around any of this? Do you have any comments? Some feedback?
If someone has an insight set up, say for a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
would it can put one in too? What happens then?
So right now, if there's multiple insights, you're going to be able to pick which insight you want to include for that business or point of interest. You can go in there and you can upvote or downvote an insight. Don't just go downvote everyone's because they're not yours, if you have one at the same place. But there are a lot of insights because a lot of people went out there right away and just started doing them before they really knew what the purpose of them was. So there's a lot of insights that are not of the greatest value. And so you can downvote those, and they're going to have a review process that, and you'll be able to select, like, for this office, I want to include this insight, but not these 8, so you'll be able to pick that because there will be a point where we're going to have multiple insights for, especially like the park in Maple Grove and Central Park. Yeah, so you'll be able to pick. Good question, Pam? No, so if you had an insight, wherever that address is or that point is on a map for that insight, like if it was going to be for Central Park, that insight would just live within that neighborhood that encompasses that point of interest. So you would only add one insight for a location, in one neighborhood. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question or not? The purpose of an insight is really just for the feature in that neighborhood. So if it was a certain part of, Elk River, for example, you could do like Orono Park on one side, and I say Elk River because I'm more familiar with that. But where if I was on more towards the downtown Elk River, I would highlight the Water's Edge, concert area. So the insight is just for that one neighborhood. I see your point though. Like anybody within the city might be interested in that insight, especially like a place like Central Park in Maple Grove. But the idea is that it's just within the neighborhood that encompasses that on the map. Yeah.
Okay, totally random, probably don't know the answer. If you highlight an insight,
you highlight an insight for like a business and the business goes away, does your insight stay there?
It's a good question.
Directing traffic to a business that no longer exists.
That's a really good question. So if the business is no longer there, if you've added an insight, I have not heard anyone ask that yet.
What do I need to ask her the questions?
Yeah. So that definitely would be one to look, like Katie said here, on ideas.kw.com. You'll be able to look at the insights section and see if anybody's posted anything about that. So for any ideas that you have, ideas.kw.com, and you can see if somebody else has already submitted it. If they had, you can upvote it. Yes, you could spend a lot of time on here if you really wanted to. So I can go into local insights, and there's 112 ideas suggested around there. Categories, clickable links, all kinds of stuff. So you could see if somebody has asked that question. If they had, you could upvote it. And all of these things, you'll see the status. Like this one needs review. Sometimes they'll say like, yeah, we're not going to do this. And sometimes they'll say, hey, we're building this already. So lots of options in here to explore what other people are, if you had the idea, somebody else may have had it too. What other questions you guys have for me right now? See if there's any questions from anybody that's watching. Nope. So some of the other features that they added recently, I'll show you those quick. In the contacts section, it's a little slow right now. They're now adding a leads pool in here. So you'll be able to have leads and contacts separated. Because you may have a lot of internet leads that maybe you've never touched bases with them. You'll have the ability to put them in here, but still keep them separate from your contact database so that it doesn't get 4,000 people in your contacts when really there's 1,000 and maybe a whole bunch of internet leads who have never replied back to you. So you'll be able to set those up and separate them out. That's a feature that just launched.
Unless I use one of their lead sources, which I get.
Yeah, right now I don't think you can manually enter them. So they're adding that. They just added that. If I do go into the leads, it did give me an add lead button here today. So you can manually go enter some. That's a feature that we'll see that built out more over the next week or so. And then in opportunities, which we'll really dive into next week, they added an opportunity stage, which is the cultivate stage. And that'd be your pre-appointment. So this is where you'll be able to go and set up your deals to project your income, your probable and your potential income. You'll be able to track your buyers and your sellers in here. And that's going to help you forecast your business better. We're going to dive more into that one and how that works next week. This will start to populate, giving you ratios, your activity, all kinds of stuff like that. And then this is what's going to eventually feed green sheets or the replacement to green sheets. So you'll just have a contact and add an opportunity at the beginning, and that's going to pre-populate a ton of information, saving you the step of the green sheet. It's going to help you to project your business a lot easier, though, and a lot more automatic. Yeah.
Is there a pipeline where you can pull a report? So I get you put your leads in there. Is there somewhere where you can look at that whole list of leads that, this guy's going to list in April, this guy's going to list in May? Can you pull that?
I don't think they have a pipeline feature available yet, but they had talked about that since the beginning. So I'm sure it's coming where you'd be able to have a pipeline to, that would be the people that would make up that cultivate stage, really. You'd be able to add them in as 10s, 9s, 8s, or whatever ranking system you want to do for listing or selling this month, next month, maybe listing or buying, this month, next month, the month after, so that you could start to project that business 3, 6, 9, 12 months out. I believe that a pipeline is coming because they showed screenshots of a pipeline a year ago already. Yeah, an exportable report would be awesome that you could print and highlight. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, for next week, if you haven't set up your marketing profile, highly, highly encourage you to do that. And then Now that was from last week. So that was my action item from last week. The action item for this week is get a couple contacts in there with addresses and get that URL. Get that neighborhood URL. I'm going to upload the recording of this by the end of the day to my KW Connect profile. So if you haven't already, go to KW Connect, search for Marty, and when you get to my profile, there will be a follow button. Click that follow button, then you'll get notified when I add new files. So I'll add the recordings, I'll add the PDFs for any supporting stuff, and I'll be adding links. So get some contacts with addresses, at least a couple, and then just look at those URLs, and if you want to send it, copy and send it to some of your most closest friends or family members, go for it and get their feedback on it just to see what they think about it. If you are not comfortable sending that out, that's okay. At least go in there and look at those neighborhoods and just explore the page a little bit on your own. And if you have any feedback when you do, or from your clients even, you could go to ideas.kw.com and you could submit that. If it's like, I showed this to three people over the weekend, and their feedback was they loved it and they wish it had this, or any of that feedback is what's going to help to develop these tools the way that you guys all want them.
You said follow Mark.
On KW Connect, yeah, follow me on KW Connect. Yep.
So next week it's a recorded webinar, it won't be a live stream.
No, I'm gonna teach the opportunities next week as well. So they also have the ones that you can watch on KW Connect under the technology tab. Those are going to be a little bit different content. Those will be streamed from KWRI in Austin. Yep. So we'll be here again Monday at noon. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stick around.